This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer.
I did ask about him playing with the pantyhose on Banfield. I said, I got to ask this about the evidence, because you were talking about the pantyhose, and I said, I got to just throw this out there because I've talked to like 10 FBI agents since this happened, and everyone I've talked to has said they just utterly cringed when they saw him playing with the pantyhose on Banfield. And he's like, yeah, we did that, and I'm paraphrasing here, to gain some attention, because we needed the attention of the nation on this case to get anything moving more forward. Again, paraphrasing, you can hear the whole interview on the podcast of my interview with Gary Upton, which I found that to be, strategy, I guess, but I don't know. At the same point, holding evidence around like that seems extremely unethical and also dangerous to contaminate it.
No. No. And I would love you to ask the other 9 FBI agents. That's just a big no.
Yeah.
No, big no. You don't do that to gain the attention. Listen, this is what I think is really at the core bothering me. And I've really looked hard into each case that has been discussed. And when I say looked hard into it, in terms of what the investigative authorities, what is KBI saying? Well, KBI says that the woman in Hayes is absolutely not connected to BTK with everything they know, all the new evidence so far, not connected that they found. They're willing to, of course, listen to anything else that comes forward.
Sure.
But that's their position. Same with Garber in Missouri. That investigator, and, I'm privy to different communications she's had where, her point is, listen, this shouldn't be a media circus. This is about finding truth, and these families thinking about what, if it were BTK, what their kids would have gone through, the torture and everything that would have been associated is just very painful for them to be on a roller coaster of, was it him or was it not him? What did she go through? What did she not? And so it's very difficult. And so when I look at the investigators who have investigated these cases, in some cases for more than a decade, and spent their life trying to figure this out, their life's work as detectives, I pay that a lot of credence. I was glad to see there was a kind of a task force put together.
Yeah.
But I was confused by that task force. Having been on many task forces in my career, I was just, I was confused. A task force to me is, and I've written 2 different ones. You write them out, for instance, an Osage task force, and there's very specific parameters. That it involves organized crime and drug distribution. I did the DAST task force, and that was about airport security and terrorism. So put together that, and then ask for each of the partners to come on board, and they sign and they agree, and everybody knows what they're contributing. Are they contributing money? Are they contributing bodies? Are they contributing cell phone analysis? Whatever we're asking, right? Of the task force member. And it's all written out, and it has to be approved from the heads of each agency. I would never, ever, in forming these task forces, nor would my bosses, nor would the SAC in charge, want the media involved. These task forces should be charged with finding truth.
Yeah.
And people in the media have no subpoena power, no search warrant authority. They have no authority to do anything.
Yeah.
In regard to investigations.
Yeah.
They can only report. So bring evidence to bear and figure out if there was any involvement. I'm just giving great pause.
Yeah, I mean, there is certainly, because there has been a lot of criticism about the liberties that the sheriff has taken, especially with obtaining evidence, going to areas outside of his jurisdiction, warrants obtained, all of that up in the air with a lot of great concern. And seemingly not necessarily thinking about the long picture here, the long game of, okay, if your goal is to convict BTK on another murder or multiple murders, there are still protocols that need to be followed if you don't want this thing thrown out of court because of the way that you handled the investigation. And it does feel to me like this is kind of ragtag. And, everybody kind of has these jobs here and there. There's some great people on that task force. Some are regular guests on this show. But again, like you said, it doesn't seem like real, I guess, or legit enough to stand up in court.
Oh, not at all. I mean, from the media standpoint, there's absolutely no purpose, zero purpose. And at the end of the day, Carrie and I are friends. I mean, she calls me her sister. She calls me and we talk. And so, of course, I knew about the task force. What I did not know and what I had always understood was the task force would be made up of law enforcement personnel, not of media or social media or any sort of media, because they don't have anything to bear in terms of an investigation. And, when you hear from like the investigators that have poured their heart and soul into these cases, and I can tell you from working cases can become personal. You have to maintain your objectivity, but personal in terms of your commitment to solve them.
Yeah.
You more than anyone else, when you've worked years on something and given your heart and soul to a case, especially a case like Garber, for heaven's sakes, hog-tied with, I think, 8 different sorts of ligature, by the way, none of which were pantyhose. Sexually assaulted, by the way, just the MO was completely outside of it. Any MO of BTK. And I know, I guess it could be considered that maybe he altered his MO for the 10 that he murdered in Kansas. I guess that's a possibility. But when you read what that investigator has to say, it's so clear that she wants justice for this family. She could care less about any media. She could care less about any limelight. She just wants truth. And at the end of the day, that's what everyone wants, is truth. And hopefully that's what will be found.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.